Hey guys. Oh. Close. Hey guys. Hopping on here today. This is a little terrifying, but the first time to ever go live on YouTube. And I'm in the middle of staining this cedar chest that has a walnut veneer over the top of it. And I kind of wanted to show you the process of how we use General Finishes gel stain here. This is antique walnut, and I've poured it in this cup to make it a little bit easier to get to. And I just kind of want to take you through the whole process out of here. If I've already got this stained and or part of it stained, and I wanted to show you kind of how we do it. So I apply a liberal amount on here, and then we're going to come back and wipe it up in just a second. And you want to get it all down in all the nooks and crannies. And then we just take a rag and wipe it back. And the good thing about the gel stain is that it doesn't dry very fast, so you've got a lot of working time with this. You don't have to be rushed doing it. And you don't necessarily, I like to wipe with the grain, it's just good practice in general, but you don't really have to. Kind of wipe any way you want to, as long as you get all the excess off. So we're going to move on here to this detail right here. I kind of want this all to rest down in here. So the hard part is getting it all down in all the details. Everything else is pretty easy with this. This piece, if you follow us on Instagram, you saw yesterday that I stripped this piece down. It had probably 2 layers of paint over it, and it was a pain in the you-know-what to get stripped. But we used a chemical stripper, and then I cleaned it with lacquer thinner, and then went back over it again with mineral spirits, and got it all nice and clean and gave it a good sanding. And here's where we are with it now, getting this beautiful antique walnut color on there. If you can show in right here close, camera, and see some of those areas that did not get, where it didn't get, the stain didn't take down in there, I take a little chip brush and kind of, it's got just a little bit of the stain on it, and try to force it down in there, and down here too. And then you kind of force the stain down in there, and then we'll come back and wipe over the top of it for any of it excess that's gotten where it doesn't have to. So you can kind of see there where it's, the excess has gotten. So we'll just come back with our rag and try to thin it out some. And the good thing about this is that I can go finish this whole thing and kind of come back and look over it, and this stuff still won't be that dry, and I can come back and make any adjustments that need to be made. So let's move on to the next section here. So when you use the water-based stain, you can't really apply it like this so much. It dries pretty fast. You kind of got to work in smaller sections and a little bit quicker, and some of this detail can be a little tricky. And I love using the water-based stain because of how fast it dries, but when we've got all this detail here, it's best, for me at least. Other people might have different opinions, but I prefer to use the gel stain. And I'm curious to know, has anybody ever used this product before? I can't see comments right now, but I will come back and respond to anybody that leaves a comment or ask a question. If you have a question about this process or anything, I will get back to you later. I can't see them right now. Kind of got my hands dirty too. So this is a fun project. The customer had this piece, bought it at a yard sale, or her sister bought it at a yard sale, and then her sister had kept it for a while and then decided that she probably was just gonna donate it because it had been painted and worn out. And it didn't look very good at all. And she decided, my customer told her sister, said, I'll take the piece. So she took it and called me, and I said, let's see what's underneath the paint. You know, we never know when we're stripping a painted piece, especially when the customer didn't paint it themselves. You really never have any idea what's underneath it. And this was a gem to find. And she came out yesterday and looked at this and was absolutely thrilled with the product. We're gonna move over to that side. Need to get some knee pads. Working on something like this makes your knees kind of worn out. Maybe I'm getting old, I don't know. Sure seems like that. Turned 40 this month, and I don't feel like any midlife crisis is coming yet. It may be coming, but I don't feel yet. I still feel pretty good. All right, so when we're wiping like this, we want to wipe long down. Like I said, you don't have to wipe with the grain, but I like keeping it with the grain. I feel like the consistency with the water-based stain, you definitely want to make your last passes with the grain. This is not that important. So then you want to make sure you get in all these little details around these feet here. And normally when you wipe it back, you see a place or two that it didn't really get down in, and you got to go back and get it. And I like using these foam brushes to apply because they really hold a lot of stain. You wouldn't think that they would, but I really only dipped this one time and gotten this bottom part done. So another thing you want to do is when the rag kind of gets about like this, it makes it hard to start pulling up stain. So you will go back to another rag, into a clean rag, and I'm about to show you because we're about to do the flat top of this in just a second. So why don't you give them a pan of the whole piece real quick. I'm going to put it on its back here. And we're going to stain that front. Oh, I got to do these little, forgot about the backle spots. Come over here and let's get these backle spots real quick. I forgot about these back spots. Come over here. So the back of this piece is cedar, and we're not going to stain it. We're just going to seal it, which is what was done on the inside. But this bottom part would have originally been stained. And like I said before, when we get done with this, I will go back and look over all of it. This stuff doesn't dry fast, and you've got plenty of time to make any corrections on it. Okay, now we'll turn those back. And we're going to get this front part here. If you can hold the camera up high. Just get down right down here and show it this way. So again here, this is just making sure you get down in all the crevices and turn it on its back here. You don't have that advantage with all the pieces that you work on. Some of them are too big. Back up a little. But you can kind of see if you've got a different angle to look to see if you missed anything. Back up a little, Caroline. You got to back the camera up some. You can kind of see if you missed any areas. So why don't you show them the table over here? And I'll talk about all the tools. So everything that I've got out here is either something I know I'm going to need or a just in case. So I've got extra rags, and we're about to get into another one in just a second. Just in case these get too filled up, I've got several so I don't have to be running around looking for something the last second. Also have the gel stain here that you can see is the antique walnut, and I put it in that cup. And I've got the big 4-inch Gen Poly brush. Those are high quality brushes. They're not the, back up a little. They're not the cheap brushes. And I have a 1-inch brush in case I needed it for any detail work. I wasn't quite sure. The chip brush is over here. And this is what I use to kind of fan out in the details any that where it didn't take or it got took too much stain. I couldn't get it wiped out. I had that and I could kind of fan it out. I also have a can of Mohawk, or not Mohawk, Touch-Up Solutions toner, and I'm going to show you how we're going to use that in just a few minutes. So, all right, we're going to move over and let's do the flat top now over here. And so this is kind of how you do a larger surface. It's really, really easy with this gel stain. I'm going to start with a new rag, get it folded up, and kind of show you how we apply this. But you really just apply it liberally across, and then you want to wipe it back. One thing I will say about this, you know, we've got like 60-degree temperature outside today, so it's really kind of perfect. But if you were working in an area that was 80, 90 degrees, this is gonna dry pretty fast then. I know I said it doesn't dry fast, but it will then, especially when you're working on a larger surface like this, and you can see streaking. So you would want to work in small sections if it was very hot where you were working. So, but the main thing here, and again, you don't have to necessarily go with the grain with this stain, but you just want to get up all of the excess really good. And so I've gotten up a bunch of the excess here. Now I'm going to actually flip my cloth to a clean side and go over it again, and you can kind of see how it helps make the grain pop when you get up all that excess, I suppose. And then we want to come back and get the edge. So I hope you guys are asking questions, because I am happy to answer any question that anybody's got about any of this. The hardest part of this whole project is for sure stripping it down and getting it to where it can take the gel stain. Let's see if we can get the underside here. And I'm gonna come back and look at this after the live's over and make sure we got everything. So let's get this other side, and I'm gonna show you how to do, we're gonna use that little spray can I got. Okay, so if you will show on the camera right here, this little spot right here, this lighter. back up a little, back up. Okay, so this is on the foot. This was done by the manufacturer where they had a crack or something here, and they filled this with, I think, Bondo or something. And I've stained over it, but the stain doesn't really take in the Bondo like the wood absorbs it. So this is a sealer with some pigments mixed into it, and this is brown mahogany. I think it's gonna be pretty close. If it's gonna be light, if anything, and that's okay, we can always make it go light, or we can always make it darker. But you just kind of want to give it a little spray. But we're gonna shake it up here and just barely mist over it and just kind of blend it. And when it dries, I think it's gonna be close enough. I might hit it really lightly one more time, but we'll let it dry. So, I'm gonna show you. So that's kind of it. That's kind of how you use the gel stain. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to ask any questions that you have, and I hope everybody has a great new year. Bye. Hit that X. Yes, and.